You want the moon? Just say the word and I'll throw a lasso around it and pull it down.
Put that coffee down.
I'm a British nanny. I'm dangerous.
It don't matter if you win by an inch or a mile. Winning's winning.
That was totally wicked!
So excited to have our next guest on. He's Representative Walter Hudson, and I know thank you for being here, by the way. I know you're a big X guy. You were probably Twitter before Twitter was cool, for all I know. But what I would like to ask you about, and maybe I'm crazy, maybe it's my feed, I just see two different Americas going on when I'm on there. There's the Charlie Kirk funeral that was unbelievable, quite frankly. 100,000, and it was 5 hours long, and I know that Senator Housley was there. She's coming on later. There's that America. There's that. And at the same time on CNN, I see this Scott Jennings guy having to tell these people on CNN who are calling Charlie Kirk a racist, and he's fighting for that. And then you see all the he said this and this about black people or transgender. And then some guy says, well, here's what he actually said. There's like two different realities going on. Is it red pill, green pill, or whatever from that movie? Where are we at? What are your thoughts on, am I missing something? Everything can't be that much different. It can't.
Well, here's the thing is, so first of all, the first thing I want to say is I watched the Kirk Memorial from beginning to end.
Okay.
And what we just witnessed was the biggest tent revival that the world has ever seen.
It was old school. It really seriously was. You are correct. Yes.
Every single speaker, like literally every single speaker, whether they were a pastor or a personal friend or a colleague from Turning Point USA or the Secretary of Defense, right? Like, or the Vice President or the President of the United States, every single one of them lifted up the name of Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
And that is something that I never thought I would see, to my eternal shame. I never thought I would see. And what we're seeing is, it's funny, the night before, last night, or a couple nights ago, I guess at this point, I was at a vigil in Lakeville for Charlie Kirk, and Republican National Committeeman for Minnesota, A.K. Kamara, was there. Okay. And we were chatting on the stage afterwards, and because there was an altar call, basically. Yeah. Right, where people are coming to Christ. And he said there are hundreds, if not thousands, of these events going on all around the country and all around the world. Like, just think about how many people's hearts are being changed right now. Like, which is
unbelievable. For guys like you and I, like you say, I guess I can't tell God what he can do, but I never thought that was it. I'm not ripping Charlie Kirk. I knew who he was. I watched the videos. I like Charlie Kirk. I was stunned at 3,000 people at a Utah campus came to just hear him speak. I'm like, good gosh, this guy was good. And then you see what he did to the world. Like you say, thousands of these going on all over the place. This was more than I ever would. I'm a little stunned by it in a good way, but I should have known better. But then, but Representative, on the other side, you see what's going on X. You see what's going on all these things. And there are people, even today, dancing on his grave, that are very happy about what happened. And so how can it be he's the racist or he's this great Christian? I mean, it can't be both. And yet that's what's out there.
Well, listen, I mean, I saw a video recently, and I'm gonna do a reaction to it on social media later today, of a black guy who was talking about that. He's like, you guys are talking about how horrible this guy was. I never listened to him. I never saw his videos, but because you guys have been maligning him so much, I checked him out, and I'm like, what is wrong with you people? Right?
Yeah.
Which is a perfect mirror. It is a perfect mirror of exactly what I experienced when I was a kid with Rush Limbaugh. The left was absolutely like apoplectic and exaggerating he's the worst human. They literally called him a grand wizard of the Ku Klux Klan. That's what they called him. And when I heard that, I said, well, hell, I want to see what somebody like that sounds like.
Yeah.
And so I checked him out. And the result of me checking him out is that I am now daily making life a living hell for the left. Right?
Yeah.
And that was back in the day when we didn't have social media, we didn't have cell phones, we didn't have like the internet was a thing, but it wasn't the thing that it is now. You have just what the left's tactics are going to blow up in their face, metaphorically. Always got to qualify these things, right? Somebody will take it out of context. But what is happening right now, and the epiphany that I've had over the weekend, because I've been angry. I got to tell you, I got to be really honest with you.
I watched that 22-minute video. You were upset, and you have every right to be. You felt they were coming after you and could be your family as well. I mean, you had every right. But I watched it. I saw the anger. I get it.
I still, and there's still some residue of that, and there always will be. It's called righteous indignation. That's what it is. Yeah. But I feel like this Monday, holy smokes, the left is not ready for this Monday. Okay. Because I have a feeling that a lot of people are feeling the way I'm feeling right now, which is activated, inspired, called. And the reason why is that it occurred to me, my epiphany from over the weekend was the path forward is to engage in a ministry to rescue sane Democrats and to restore the Democrat Party to what it once was under figures like JFK, right? Yeah. We have a social contract which says that, and it's unwritten, like it's not like written down somewhere, but it's the list of things that we thought we could take for granted, right? Like about each other in non-criminal civilized society. And one of the clauses in that social contract is, I don't want you to die, and I'm not going to dance on your grave. Yeah. And even if I disagreed with you vehemently on everything that you believed and advocated for, if you tragically do end, I'm not going to dance on your grave before your spouse has had the opportunity to put you in the ground.
Yeah.
Right.
See, that's that unwritten stuff. We got to write it down because I completely 100% agree with you on this. And the other one is, do you believe some of these politicians, AOC, some of these others that are saying some of this, Elon Omar, some of these things you're saying about Charlie Kirk or the right, do they know they're falsifying it? Have they watched Charlie Kirk and they saw what so you do? They know what they're saying is just a farce. I'm going to say it anyway. See, that's more evil. If they're just going by misinterpretation of something that someone told them, maybe they're just an idiot. But if you're actually saying it and you watched Charlie Kirk and you saw what he said about 10-year-old girls having babies, whatever, pick the topic, and you realize, no, he was trying to be very compassionate, and he was doing this, and yet you still say that stuff, then there's something evil to it, isn't it?
Yes, they are the children of their father, the father of lies, right? And listen, it's either one of two things, right? You either know you're lying, or you lack the basic competence to know that you're lying, which I don't know which is worse. I kind of think being ignorant is almost worse. Like I have less respect for not knowing what the truth is. But
it's harder today. You're right. But everybody has a campaign guy, and his job would be to go on Twitter and find the video and then hand it. And then there should be no ignorance in today's elected officials when you get to a certain level. Maybe a mayor somewhere doesn't do that.
Right. Well, listen, if you're going to take on these responsibilities, if you're going to become a state legislator or a congressperson, right, or a governor, all right, looking at you, Timmy Walls. If you're going to take on these positions, you have an abiding obligation to know what is true and to speak and act accordingly. And that too is part of the social contract, right? Like if you are either too lazy to know what is true or are going to intentionally misrepresent it, you don't deserve your position. And what I can tell you is that my experience in interacting with with Democrat legislators in St. Paul, like this will blow your mind, but there are sane Democrats who they won't put their head up above the trench line because they know that they're going to get taken out by their own. Yeah. But you catch them in a shadowy booth in a restaurant somewhere in St. Paul, and they will let you know, yeah, these people are crazy. There's nothing I can do about it. Right. Like if I say anything, I'm out.
See, but That's exactly the point you're kind of doing. I guess I'm trying to get myself in a Democrat's head that might be listening as they drive down the road. You and I are not saying the thought you have on position X is crazy, or a lie. You can have the positions you want. We like you, but can we agree to disagree on that and let it drop there? And I think there's something about the humanity of it all, sir. And then I'll go to break. Walter Hudson's a family man with a family and lives. Hortman, I knew nothing about her raising dogs for special needs, and then she had to have the one dog because he was too darn happy he wouldn't do all the training, so she just kept it. I think if we knew more about you all as a whole human, it makes it harder to say, oh, because once you label them, you're only a Democrat or you're only a Republican, a liberal or conservative, now I know everything about you, you don't know crap. And that's where we get into problems, my opinion. We need to get more of the background on you all. So
well, and what you just articulated is the actual turning point. There's a new partisanship, and it's not Republican and Democrat. It's not left and right. These are artificial constructs that we've come up with. It's decent and indecent. It's human and inhuman. And what we need is a revolution of humanity, a revival of decency in this state and in this country. And you're about to see it.
See, and I want to talk about that on the other side. How long will this last? Is this really going to be one of those titanic shifts in which way we're going? We'll find out right after this with Representative Walter Hudson.
Think about it. Now that school's out for the summer, how are Minnesota students doing? Not very well. Minnesota ACT scores fell again last year and are the lowest they've been in 10 years. In fact, fewer than half of Minnesota students can either read or do math at grade level. Think about it. We used to brag about our schools. Now we're losing to states like Mississippi. Visit AmericanExperiment.org for more information. Think About It is brought to you by Center of the American Experiment, Minnesota's think tank.
Dust from gravel roads and driveways does more than make your car dirty inside and out. It gets down into your lungs, and it's bad for your health. Now there's an environmentally friendly solution for your dust problems. It's called DustLock. DustLock can control all your summer dust problems with just one application. Protect your vehicle and your lungs. Learn more at dustlock.com.
Are you kidding me?
You know that comment you said to the radio? The thing that we got wrong?
Clearly, Brussels sprouts are the worst vegetable.
Call us and let the world know your thoughts. 855-257-7469. That's 855-ALS Show.
We've got Representative Walter Hudson. When we went to break, I asked if this was that, you called it the turning point. Do we turn this ship around? And I guess what I mean by that, Ronald Reagan, that was huge in our day. We didn't have this kind of media, but I remember going home, talking to my mom. Probably the first time I talked politics with her. She was so sad. We don't shoot our presidents. This is the same as John F. Kennedy. And it's like, okay, we spurned something, but you don't know what it is going to do to the country until years later. But this seems different. Is this that turning point, or will we look back and say, almost turned, but we didn't?
No, this is the turning point. Right?
Okay.
Like this is, you felt the presence of God in that memorial for Charlie Kirk yesterday. And what we're seeing in terms of people going back to church, opening their Bibles, and just like, because that's what it's going to take, right? Like this is beyond politics. This is about the culture. As I said before, this is about the social contract, the things that we shouldn't have to say to each other. I had an interview with a Minnesota Reformer reporter last week, and one of the things I told her was, when you called me up and asked me to have this interview, there were two things we had to agree on. One was when, the other was where. That's it.
Yeah.
What we didn't have to discuss is whether or not one of us was going to kill each other, or in lieu of that, whether or not, if some third party did, we were going to clap, right, and celebrate the fact that each other was dead. That is an unwritten clause within the social contract. And what we've seen since the assassination of Charlie Kirk is that there are apparently tens of millions of our fellow Americans, people who educate our children, who perform medical procedures on us, and indeed who write our laws. Congress people, state legislators who don't care about that. They've completely abandoned that concept, and they're willing to dance on the grave of somebody before his wife has even had the chance to put him in the ground. And so the path moving forward is we're on a rescue mission, and it's not a partisan rescue mission. Like my epiphany from over this weekend is it's no longer Republican versus Democrat. That ain't it. Okay. We actually, in fact, what Republicans need to do is we need to, instead of calling out Democrats, we need to call them in. We need to say, listen, I'm not telling you come sign up to be a GOP voter. Yeah. Like that's not my priority right now. My priority right now is I want to reestablish the concept of loyal opposition. I want to reestablish the concept of two parties that are in competition to create a decent society, right? Like to create a society that actually is prosperous and truly inclusive, right? Like truly tolerant. Actually wants to have the conversation. It doesn't think that people should die because of what they think. And I know for a fact that there are Democrats who believe that. Unfortunately, because the controlling forces within their party right now are on that abhorrent, heinous side, the first step has to be their utter and complete political defeat. In
2026, this is my point. This is going to get tested sooner than later. We've already had, since the Hortman and Hoffman shooting, a guy running for governor, making fun that he'd hope he got a phone call saying that Trump was dead, on Labor Day weekend. I don't think that let's change the rhetoric is going to change much, but we will see if it works in 2026 when the elections happen. Do we seriously want to change from what's going on currently, or are we going to keep letting those that hype the crowd up like that continue to get votes? I think we'll know a ton in 2026 whether this has got legs.
And listen, the mission goes beyond elections, right?
Yes.
My point at this point, and the core of the epiphany that I had over this weekend, is that merely defeating this current iteration of the Democrat Party is not sufficient. Because if they remain what they currently are, that's completely unsustainable. You can't have one party that's decent and another party that's indecent. You can't have one party that's for America and another party that wants to dismantle it. That is completely unsustainable. And what it does is it elevates the stakes of our elections to a point where people are more likely to engage in political violence. So the task is to force reform within the Democrat Party, to call them back into the American project. And step one in that is completely and utterly defeating them politically in 2026 in order to send the signal that you need to come with us if you want to live. Like, you need to come back into the family. You need to repent. You need to become Americans again. And let me call out somebody specifically who I think could be that leader within the Democrat Party, Dean Phillips. Dean Phillips has come out and said Zoran Memdani is outside the big tent, right? Like, socialists are outside the Democrat big tent. That takes tremendous courage to say that. And that's the future. The future of the Democrat Party, if it wants to be a thing, and if it wants America to be a thing, has to go in that direction of, we are no longer going to accept as legitimate politics people who want to dismantle our institutions and who will dance on our grave and who will mock our spouses and children if we die.
Representative Walter Hudson, you got the last word. Appreciate you being here. I really seriously do. Let's do it again next week, all right?
Sounds good.
He's Representative Walter Hudson on the Al Travis Show.